What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to my YouTube channel, Let's Talk Tottenham. It's hard to believe that it has been almost a calendar year since José Mourinho took over at Tottenham Hotspur Football Club, and so today we are going to be talking about and assessing how that year has been. So I asked some questions to the Discord server, which, by the way, you should totally get in on this Discord server. There are still spots left to get on the first team, which gives you access to all the voice channels. You can add audio and submit them for these videos. I'd love for you to be there. There's a link in the description. So these are some of the questions that I asked everybody to answer. The first being this: think back to a year ago. Were you upset with Levy when Poch got sacked? How do you feel towards Levy now? Do you feel any different? And I'd love, if any of these questions you feel like answering, get down in those comments. I'd love to hear your thoughts as well. Personally, I was upset with Levy. Not because he did it, but how he did it. I know it's Levy's way to kind of fly under the radar and make signings and hirings without people really knowing until they've happened. But I felt like with Poch, it should have been different. And yeah, I was frustrated. I felt like Pochettino was he was like a father figure to the club. The way that Harry Winks gave him that hug when he scored that goal, I feel like we all wanted to give him that hug. You remember the scenes, the last game at White Hart Lane, where he had that proud papa moment with the rainbow coming over White Hart Lane. It just felt like, yeah, he is one of us. And so to have him sacked so quickly, having Jose hired within 24 hours, doing it kind of what felt like last minute in the international break, I just really didn't like the way that shook out. And so, yeah, I was frustrated at the time, but I have to acknowledge, answering the second part of that question, how do I feel towards him now, if it's any different? I definitely feel different. I think it was the right decision. I think I understand, with a guy of the profile of José Mourinho, and it showed in the the Amazon Prime docuseries how much of a big deal this was, where we've never really had that level of superstardom come to our club in that way. And so I think it was something that Levy had to do kind of under the radar. And a year later, we're second in the table. And looking pretty sharp. We have Bale back. Some of those things, I don't know if that would have happened under Mauricio Pochettino. Maybe it would have. But yeah, I feel like I feel different towards Levy. He's kind of regained some of that trust for me. He didn't really have no trust from me. I just felt like I didn't like the way he handled the sacking of Pochettino. So the second question that I asked was, how would you rate José's management at Spurs in the past year? And what I mean by in the past year is simply over the last calendar year. And personally, I would give it a strong 7.5 out of 10. I just feel like his management to get us to 6th was huge. I would have liked to have seen a little bit more from the team. And again, I don't know if that's on him or if it's on the players. But I felt like there were some times last season where we could have caught up and we just didn't. And so I think he made some changes, in the transfer window, especially in the summer, changing the mentality of kind of the core of the squad. And so I think that is going to change those West Broms and Burnley type games where we're 0-0, we're grinding it out, and we get all the way into the clinch. And the good news is we get it over the line this time. So anyway, I feel like, yeah, I feel good about it. I feel like he's done a really good job in the last calendar year. I'm actually got some hope. I'm looking forward to this next month. Where will we be, around Christmas time? And what will that look like for the new year? It's certainly a different type of season with no fans and all the games that we had to play into Europa. Yeah, I just think he's doing a great job managing the squad that he has. And we'll see what we end up with by the end of the year. I am definitely excited though. So another question that I had was, answer one or both of these. What GIF would you use to describe how you feel towards Pochettino a year later? This is the GIF. I feel like if I saw him, it would be like this awkward, like, what are we, let's just hug it out. You know what I'm saying? You've got that fist bump into, maybe high five back into just the hug. Let's just hug one another. And part of that is because I don't know how to feel about him still. I feel excited to see him potentially getting back into management. I don't want to see him at any other Premier League side. And I want to see him succeed. And so I just hope to kind of watch him from afar. And the closer he gets to connecting to the club, whether that be, if he was to manage, I don't know, say a Man United or something like that, it would be hard for me to root for him. Whereas if he was off in Spain somewhere, I might feel a little more comfortable, getting behind him or something like that. So those are my thoughts on some of those questions. You take a look at these as well. Get in those comments down below. It's been a year. It's hard to believe. How well do you think he's doing? Give a rating out of 10. What surprised you about Jose? What do you love about Jose? What frustrates you about him? Let me know in those comments down below. And in the meantime, we're going to take a listen to some of the comments that have come from our Discord channel.
Good afternoon. This is Bill from England.
What's up, Bill? Welcome back, my friend. This is your second time sharing some audio. Thanks so much for doing that.
Think back to a year ago. Were you upset with Levy when Poch got sacked? I think last season, and actually at the tail end of the season before, so of the 18-19 season, if you remember, Poch said something, I think it was in the interview before the Champions League final, and he said something to the effect, if I win the Champions League, I leave.
Bill, I totally remember him saying this, and I hated that he said this. I just felt like it put fear in everybody's hearts. I know he probably meant it in a way of like, what else could I do? I mean, this is the greatest thing that I could have won with this club. But to have said that, I remember for me, I felt like, do I want to win the Champions League and lose Pochettino? Or do I want to lose the Champions League and keep Pochettino? And yeah, it just felt like, I think I knew what he meant, but yeah, I was really upset when he said that.
Perfect. And I actually think that was the beginning of Poch's reign perhaps coming to an end.
Yeah.
Champions League felt like a culmination of that.
Agreed.
When he said he was going to leave if he won, that plants a seed of doubt.
Totally.
Into the minds of the Spurs fans, but most importantly into Levy's mind. So Pochettino has kind of set himself up ever so slightly to fail there by saying that he's making it awkward for Levy, because Levy now thinks, oh, well, Pochettino is considering leaving.
Right. Yeah. And so maybe I disagree with you on that part. Like, I don't know if, I think hearing him say it, I don't think we thought he wanted to leave or something like that. But I think you're right though, in the sense that, yeah, it definitely puts a seed of doubt in Levy's mind. Like I said, for everyone, it's like, dude, if we win, you're going to leave. And then if you lose, it's just so sad, dude, Anyway.
I was upset that Poch got sacked, but I don't think I was upset with Levy, because I understood that he was in a very difficult position.
That's interesting, yeah.
How do I feel with Levy now? I am one of the Spurs fans who have not yet watched the All or Nothing documentary. I intend to watch it.
Dude, you totally should. If you can, I would recommend it.
But last season was so traumatic for me. I didn't really want to watch that season. I actually think Levy's status amongst the fans has improved, and I also think that's linked not just to Jose.
Dude, this is why you got to watch that Amazon docuseries.
Everybody says my name wrong.
He goes by Jose. It's Jose. I know, kind of surprising maybe, but it's true.
I know I'm rambling, so I'm sorry. I'll try and keep it short.
It's all right. It's all right.
So,
No
yeah,
worries.
it's just I love talking about Tottenham.
It's literally why I started this channel, my friend. Let's talk Tottenham. Let's go.
How long do I want him to stay? I want Jose to stay long enough so that we win either the league or a couple of domestic trophies or a European trophy, long enough to keep the seat warm for Poch when he returns from Madrid.
Hey, yes, that would be wonderful, right? To see him come back. And can you imagine coming right back after Jose? Bill, thanks so much for sending in your audio. I super appreciate it. It's so good to hear from you again. And thanks for the laughs as well. All right, let's hear from whoever's next.
All right, it's Jinty from Scotland.
Hey, Jinty, what's going on? Tell me your thoughts.
So, referring to your first question about Poch's sacking, I have to be honest, I think it was the right call by Levy, as we'd only won 3 games out of 12 that season, and the previous season I would have to admit that our performance was pretty disappointing for what we should be aiming for. I think the Champions League run really put wool over a lot of media's eyes.
I totally agree with you. I think that Champions League run made it feel like everything was okay, or at least we were okay with what was because of that, but apart from that Champions League run, we were dreadful.
In fans' eyes at the time of the sacking, but I think if you look back now, you can see the writings on the wall, and especially now when you think like how quickly Jose came in. So Levy was clearly setting up a backup plan, and run the month running up to that. In terms of how I would rate Jose's management over the past year, it has to be a 9 out of 10.
Nice. 9. All right.
Because we were in free fall, and the best we could hope for was probably mid-table going the way things were going.
I agree. I think lower mid-table with the record that we had. Like I said, from those last 10 games of the season prior to the season that Poch got sacked, I mean, we were scary. It was looking real bad.
So to get a Europa spot out of that is great. We started really strong this season, and the only way you could make it a 10 out of 10 is if we got a Champions League spot last season and not had those dodgy games this season. But
totally. What else you got?
So you asked, do you like his management style with strong personality types? You used Dele Alli as the example. I do like his management style, because if you get people who have egos like that, 2 or 3 of them into the team, it can cause some real problems with the whole kind of ethos around the team. And I'm a big subscriber to Alex Ferguson, no one is bigger than the club mentality. And you can see, it can backfire sometimes. Famously, Paul Pogba, when he was younger, he was trying to say he deserved more of a role. He was a big star, he thought, in the making, and Alex Ferguson told him to get lost. And Jose has got the same kind of style, but obviously it didn't work out. He's not as good as Alex Ferguson, because obviously when he has time to try and put down Pogba, it didn't really work out as great for him. Now, you also asked, how do you believe Jose is different or evolved compared to where he was at Man U and Chelsea? I hope that it has changed, as maybe being taken away and fired those couple of times, taking those knocks to his ego, and being forced to sit at the commentary position for a few months. And he said himself that he feels that he wants and belongs at the sideline managing a team, and hopefully he has kind of changed his ideas or ideas of himself, because his biggest criticism for his haters is to basically say, with 3 seasons and you're done. And I hope that he proves them wrong, because he does love proving people wrong, but I think he definitely needed an ego check, and I hope that happened.
I totally agree with you, Jinty. I think that it's really kind of interesting to think, though, that he has this mentality of man management that manages those big egos, but it's almost like a blind spot for himself. Like he cannot see his own ego and how that might affect the team. So thanks so much for sending in the audio. I super appreciate it. Great to hear your voice. And you sent in a GIF. One of the questions was, what GIF would you use to describe how you feel towards Pochettino a year later? And this GIF was amazing. Here's what he sent in. Just the perfect kiss goodbye, best of luck, walk into the mist. I just feel like way better than mine. Way better than my GIF. Thank you so much for sending that in, Jinty. All right, next one we have here is TechnoSteel.
What I'm surprised about Mourinho is that he's that new manager that was at Real Madrid, Chelsea, and Inter Milan, and he's not that old moaning Mourinho that was at Man U. And when you have a happy Mourinho, you have a happy dressing room, and when you have a happy dressing room, you get good results. Good results turn into titles. And
I agree with you on that. I think that he did say that he was the happy one. Sometimes I'm not convinced always about that, but I do think that the more that happiness is pervasive, the more that spreads from Mourinho to the team and throughout the club. I think that does breed the mentality, the ethos that's necessary to be winning titles.
What I love about Mourinho is that he plays really nice football, entertaining football, that flair football that Pochettino used to play in his time at Spurs. And I really hope it carries on. Sometimes he might get scrappy wins, and sometimes you need them when it's a hard game, a tough team to beat. Hopefully it goes good. Hopefully he plays really nice football. And how long I think he's going to stay? I think he's going to stay his whole spell at Spurs. He's not going to get sacked, hopefully.
I agree with you.
And hopefully he wins at least 3 titles, one of them Premier League, hopefully, and European League. And I think he's doing better than last year at Spurs because he's playing much better. Good results. Unbeaten run right now. Hopefully I didn't jinx it. And hopefully it goes better and better, and that's it. Come on, you Spurs.
Hey.
Come on, you Spurs!
All right, so we've come to our last audio clip, and here we go.
Hey guys, it's Alex here, otherwise known as Crying Son, and I'm based in London in the UK.
What's going on, Alex? Good to hear your voice. Tell me your story, man. What's going on? What do you think about Jose Mourinho?
So yeah, I mean, thinking back to a year ago now, was I upset with Levy when Poch got sacked? I think I was upset. I think it was largely a emotional reaction.
Yeah, I think that's a really good way to put it, that it was emotional. Like I said, it felt like he was a father figure to the club.
And a lot of that stems to really what he did during his tenure. When he joined the club, I think we were in a bit of an awkward position. We were potentially building the stadium or about to build the stadium. And, Levy had reiterated several times that he expected that to impact finances over those years, and that, almost set expectations with the fans that, we shouldn't be expecting 50, 60, 70 million pound signings, and, things are going to be tight for several years, and we should just kind of accept wherever we are. And really, Poch did everything we could have asked for and more.
I can't agree with you more. I think that, we outperformed expectations year after year after year. And I think when you finally started to see that decline, it was disappointing, but yeah, you expected him to do magic with what he was given, right? Even if it wasn't, these big, expensive signings like you're talking, that he would somehow work his magic and get the best out of the team.
I don't think any of us had the expectation that Poch would get us top 4 regularly during his tenure.
Not when he first signed, that's for sure.
I think we all were sort of, let's hope for the best, but if it all goes tits up again, as it has done in the past with other managers, then I don't think anyone would have been massively angry or upset. I think we all understood we were going through a transitional period, and we were looking for someone to sort of carry us through that. And I think Poch pretty much did that for us. I mean, something that people need to remember is that when we were building the stadium, us finishing top four had a huge impact on how the banks looked at us. When it came to seeking more finance, when we realised that we were going over the initial budget with the construction of the stadium, I think the attitude would have been very different if we had, hired and fired managers for the years before that, and that, the person at the helm was perhaps deemed to be incompetent. Then we would never have got the financing we got.
I think that's a really good point. Something I certainly hadn't, considered is how the club looks to the banks, especially when it comes to the lending for the stadium. And yeah, having had such a tumultuous time before Pochettino, Poch really, steadied things out and looked very positive. Everything was, kind of up and to the right. It felt like things were getting better and better and growing. So yeah, I think that definitely helps with the team's kind of, how the team is perceived, at least from the outside.
At the time. And I think that those kind of things, those intricate things that may not be on the field necessarily, I think they were key to sort of the intrinsic value that he brought, not just the impact he had on our playing squad. Now, that's not to discredit what he did from a playing squad perspective. I mean, he was part of the reason why we see Harry Kane performing the way he does today, and he was definitely involved in the rise of players like Dele Alli as well. But I think really when he left, it was more the fact that I felt he hadn't been given enough of a chance. Now, he had been given a chance to succeed somewhat, but I don't think he'd been given the chance to compete at the highest level. And he had always, in my opinion, overperformed with the squad that he was given.
That's a really good point. I don't know if I felt that at the time, that, he wasn't really given that chance to be backed and then succeed. I felt at the time he had been given a chance to, kind of right the ship with the players that he had. And if I recall, there was some conflicting stories about, was it Levy, was it Pochettino that was, kind of putting halts on transfers and things like that. And so, yeah, at the time I felt like he had his chance to, at least with the players he had, not be mid or, lower mid-table. But I think you're right. It would have been nice to see, had he been fully backed, in the way that Spurs can back a manager, what he would have been able to do.
And I think that was a large part of the reason why I think a lot of fans thought, you know what, we should have given Poch a little bit more time to try and sort of turn the tide. Equally, obviously hindsight's a wonderful thing. I mean, if you now looking back, you go, well, we may not have got Jose, and our biggest rivals could have poached him. And we could be in the position now where we have, I don't know, a Tim Sherwood in charge, and, our
Please, no, please, no. I mean, he did what he did, and he was a great caretaker. But not long term. Oh gosh, I remember those days. I don't want to go back. Anybody else? No thanks.
Rivals up the road have Mourinho in charge, and I think all of us would be fairly envious and upset about that. And I think we're seeing that with a lot of the Arsenal fan channels at the moment, where several of them are saying, well, was Arteta the right appointment? Should we have acted sooner with Emery and hired Mourinho? And obviously they're seeing the impact Mourinho has had since he's joined. So I think what was initially a largely emotional reaction has now turned into I think it might have been the best thing at the time. I think if there was any other manager I would have chosen, before we hired Jose, I would have probably suggested a bunch of other names. But now that I look at it, he's really done wonders with the squad. I mean,
Yeah, I agree. I think at the time, yeah, I remember talking to some of my friends and just saying he was not the first five on my list. Mostly because of just his character and his persona, and him being from managing Chelsea and things like that. I just felt like he was not. He was just felt like the total opposite of Mauricio Pochettino and what was being built. And so it felt like, gosh, anybody but him. I wanted someone more in the mold of Poch. But now, like you said, hindsight being 2020, it is a gift, I think, that we have had him for the last year.
Yeah, it's not talked about enough that when he joined us, we were sitting 14th in the table and we finished the season in 6th place. So I think that in itself was a huge success. And I think that if you got rid of some of those injuries that Jose had to deal with last season, we would have potentially seen even more from Jose. So yeah, I think that's kind of shown us that we may have made the right decision there.
Yeah, and I have to agree. I think we did make the right decision. I think Levy made the right decision. And I've said this in a previous video. Levy made the decision that I couldn't have made. I wouldn't have done it. I might have given Poch a little bit longer, but then, like you're saying, Alex, we might have seen Jose go somewhere else, and then we would have been left in the lurch in terms of looking for, the right manager at the right time. And so, yeah, I think a year later, we are in a much better position because of Jose Mourinho and because of the decisions that Daniel Levy has made. And so I hold my hands up and say they made the right choice, and I'm glad for it. And Jose's growing on me, game after game. What I'm seeing is exciting. It's entertaining. It's encouraging. And I feel like hopefully by Christmas, we might see ourselves in the top 4 and, maybe even top of the table. And who knows, by the end of the season, we might have a pretty special gift. So anyway, those are my thoughts. Thank you so much to everyone who turned in some audio. If you have some ideas about Jose, you want to rate his season, or I should say the last year, get that in the comments down below and get into our Discord channel. I would love for you to be a part of that. And as ever, it was great talking with you.